Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a new video. Today's video I'm going to be talking about going to a non-denominational church. I am non-denominational. I've been going to non-denominational churches my whole life, and I don't know why I'm burping. So if I burp in the video, I'm sorry. That's not professional. I've been going to non-denominational churches my whole life. There is things I disagree with. One of the biggest things I disagreed is with non-denominational churches is loose doctrine, loose theology. So my church, I love my church. I'm not gonna say what church I go to, and I love the people there, and I know they don't mean wrongdoings, but the more you study systematic theology, the more you can just tell what they're teaching. And unfortunately, my church teaches a lot of prosperity gospel. And if you don't know what prosperity gospel is, it's pretty much saying that God's gonna bless you no matter what. You're gonna get blessed. He's gonna financially bless you. You're gonna get a better house. You're gonna see that breakthrough. I'm gonna succeed if I just put faith out there. I'm gonna succeed. It kind of reminds me of the law of attraction. The law of attraction is, if you really believe it and put it out in the universe, you will succeed. And that's the same way. That's pretty much what they're doing to God. And it reminds me of it is a prosperity gospel, and it's very dangerous. So back to what I was saying. I was at church, and I was just sitting there just listening. I was just like knowing like this is prosperity teaching, and it's a false doctrine. And I was just sitting there, and in 1 minute I counted 20 times they kept saying you. And I think that's the problem with me going to low churches once you study theology. I'm not saying that there's some churches that are non-denominational that don't teach theology. From my experience, I've been going to non-denominational churches my whole life, and they mostly teach prosperity teachings. And another thing I do not like is that they have coffee shops, a bookstore. They have all these stores. And the crazy thing is, non-denominational churches are not, linked with other churches. So all the profits they get, it's just their money. But they do donate. But that's not what I'm saying. The main thing I'm saying is, I don't believe churches should have coffee shops, to drink and then go buy some clothes and stuff. And that reminds me of when Jesus went to the synagogue and saw people selling merchandise, clothing and like all the animals. I can't see how they do that, have merchandises and stores and all this in a church and coffee shops. It just reminds me of what Jesus did. He got angry seeing all that stuff. So that's another thing I disagree with. So low churches, they focus more on worship over tradition, church structure, and they focus less on doctrine and theology, and they focus more on just worship styles. And this is bad because it may lead to false teaching or exposure to false teachers, as it's more focused on worship. And then compared to me going to high churches, going to mass or another high church, they focus on church structure and order within the church, placing greater focus on tradition and the importance of sound doctrine, which reduces the likelihood of false teaching. That is why I like high churches. I want to go to more high Protestant churches. I've been going to apostolic churches, but the higher the church structure, the higher the doctrine is going to be, and the less likely there will be false teaching. Not to say that false teaching can make its way to high churches, but it's very rare. But you do see churches with liberals infiltrating the church, but you could easily spot that out. I just feel like non-denominational churches, it's just more focused on worship and just prosperity about you. It's not really about God. And then they have smoke machines, and I don't I don't like the smoke machines, to be honest. But I like more traditional, like hymns worship. I think that's really beautiful. But there is some rare ones that are really good, because I listened to this non-denominational church, and oh my goodness, the theology was like up here. I was like, oh my goodness, this is a non-denominational church. But it's very rare to find those churches. If you find a church like that, I say that's really good. Low churches, more focus on worship, strong chance of false, dangerous teaching. That's why you get like really bad doctrine within these low churches, because they don't focus on structure. more focused on relationship with God and worship, which is a good thing, but it really does lead to false teaching. So you gotta be careful. I hope you enjoyed this video. I pray y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Have a blessed day, y'all.